Hello. So we are going to start our last topic, that is ubiquitous computing, and inside that we'll see different kind of computing and virtualization system. So what is ubiquitous computing? Ubiquitous computing was being defined by Mark Wieser. It basically said that in the old time, around 90s, that there are three type of devices could be possible, like tab that we are using, pad that we are using, board. So what is tab? Tab is wearable device that could be approx centimeters. Pad that has some handheld device that is of some smaller size. Whereas board which is having large display like a screen and which could be approximately meter. So there are three devices that he discussed based upon the size. Nowadays these are common. Previously it was not that common. Now the computing has been made for anytime, anywhere. So Mark Wieser also defined that ubiquitous computing would be computing anytime, anywhere. That any devices or any location could be used, and anything, any type of format of files could be processed and accessed. So these type of definition was being given by the Mark Wieser in 90s. Then new definition came up as edge computing that we had also discussed previously. Like distributed, it is one of the distributed computing paradigm. So what it does computation and data storage nearer to the location of a user. Then what edge computing do? Edge computing improves the response time and saves the bandwidth. What cloud computing do? Cloud computing operates on big data, but edge computing operates on instant data. So this is the basic difference between the two kinds of data that are being used. Cloud computing operates on big data, and edge computing operates on instant data. What are the edge computing, earlier known as a content delivery network or content distribution network? This is related to the edge computing. Akamai CDNs are there that we discussed in Unit 4. Akamai Facebook photo serving stack that we discussed in Unit 4. So these are the example of edge computing. So older content delivery network CDN are now being re-referred as edge computing. What is cloudlet? Cloudlet is being defined by Mahadev and Victor Behel and Raman Nigel. So what they said that there are small mobile computing devices that are being extended from the data center. Means they are the smaller data center nearer to the user, so that it will look like an edge. So nearer, there are mobile computing devices which has low battery capacity. So if we have the cloud which is nearer to the uh, mobile user, then it would increase the battery capacity. It will help to increase the battery capacity, and that data server would keep on charging with some external powers. So this is the concept that they introduced. It works like a data center inbox. Means there is a data center which is working as nearer to the uh, which is working as the one of the internet, and which is serving all the request and bring the cloud closer to the uh, user. What happens in the ships or in the merchant navy, like what they have to use mobile. So every sailor have their own mobile, but what happens, the battery becomes low because the signal was weak. So what it does, cloudlet creates a data center, whatever be the a small receiver it creates as a server, and that receivers as a server keep on fetching data from outer world, from main world, and that internal data center in the box, means in the ship, data center in the ship keeps on serving the cloud user, means the mobile of the sailor, so that the mobile battery would not drain frequently, so mobile battery could keep on working faster. So it basically resource intensive and interactive mobile applications. So this is what are the advantage of cloudlets, and they provide powerful computing resources. So there is one powerful computing resource as a data center in a ship, and other sailors are using that mobile device for better battery usage. Then fog computing is basically an architecture of distributed computing that helps in storage, controlling, and networking functioning, that brings users closer to the cloud and the closer to the network. And it is one of the confused terms with edge computing. So edge computing and fog computing are different things. How they are different? So fog computing works with cloud computing, means in the cloud computing, external edges or external part of the serving that becomes closer to the user is actually fog computing, whereas edge computing is totally different. Edge computing is related to content delivery network. So edge computing works independently, whereas fog computing works as the outer edge of cloud computing. So fog computing plus has contains fog is contained inside cloud computing. Fog computing is the part of cloud computing, whereas edge computing is independent. So edge computing basically work as content delivery network, which works as nearer to the user, but the fog computing is inside the cloud computing, and fog computing trying to bring the cloud computing nearer to the user. So cloud computing basically deals with big data, whereas fog computing deals with real time data, and when it is spatially generated by sensor or user. Then internet of things, this is common word, that is physics is being involved. Physical objects like things, whatever we are using in day to day life, which are embedded with the sensor or software or other advanced technologies. So what are the purpose of these technologies? To connect with and exchanging the data with the server, so that these devices or things could work intelligent using the capacity and intelligence of external server over the internet. So what are the uh, devices or internet of things that are being used? These are the devices and appliances on smart homes. These are the equipment and facility in the smart cities. For example, we have mobile which is very advanced to be connected with internet. It can play YouTube or any Spotify or any song related uh, app, so we can play a song. But mobiles have smaller speaker. What we can do, there are speaker which are coming with Bluetooth. So Bluetooth speakers are there, so we can connect our mobile Bluetooth with the Bluetooth of a speaker. What it makes, it makes that YouTube or Spotify audio will play on the speaker, and we can hear the song louder. So this is the advanced and smart technology, you can say, that speaker connecting with Bluetooth, and the mobile is connected with internet. So this is a smart home, you can say, a smart home device. Then real time analytics could be possible. So these all sensors and all these things are generating too many data at very small amount of time, so you can do the analytics and delete the data, because the data would be larger in size. So this is why information flow happens and data deluge happens. So you keep on having sensor data, sensor data, sensor data. What you do real time analytics, extract main information and delete the fundamental data set, because it will be costly to store such a large data, and you have the main information out of it. So this happens because of data flooding and information flooding. So you would have information explosion and data deluge. So because there are too many sensors which are generating too much flood of data and flood of information. So these are the issues being created. Then it is what happening, it is having ever increasing amount of electronic data exchange per unit of time. So electronic data is increasing at very larger speed at very small amount of time. So this is the information explosion or data flood, and this is unmanageable because there's a large amount of data growth is taking place. So this data is unmanageable, and the power of data processing is required for all these things. Then we'll discuss virtualization. What does it mean by virtualization? Virtualization we had discussed earlier as well, where the hardware platform storage devices are resources are being virtualized, means created illusion that multiple machines are being connected, or one larger machine is being broken up in the smaller size. So these are the two type of virtualization, means creating larger machine with smaller machine, or with a large machine you are dividing the resources for the users. So we'll discuss all type of virtualization. Most of the type of virtualization, most common one is hardware virtualization. Hardware virtualization is, or platform virtualization. What hardware virtualization basically refers to do uh, creation of virtual machine. Virtual machine has been created. I hope that we all know what is virtual machine. Then these are also of two type, means hardware virtualization or platform virtualization are also of two type: full virtualization and para virtualization. In full virtualization, complete simulation of actual hardware would allow software environment or guest operating system and its app. So full hardware virtualization would be done, and full software environment are being created, full operating system are being installed. So this is full virtualization. What is para virtualization? So it creates an environment for execution of an app, like a container it creates. So container as a service is one of the para virtualization example, which execute application or some library or some app in the fixed domain, that is we can say container also. Then application virtualization or workspace virtualization. So most of the time some isolated individual app development would be required, and the operating system, whereas other apps are being required. So such application virtualization and workspace virtualization are being required, that actually individual isolated apps are being required. Then service virtualization, that is emulating some behavior of API. Various API are being required, cloud and SOA being required. These are the service virtualization when you want to use API, cloud and SOA. Memory virtualization, aggregating some part of RAM resources together and creating some helping taking some help of network system to work as a single memory pool, means there are many machines which has different size of RAM. So you merge these machines together, and these RAMs are being processing together as a single memory pool, like in case of Hadoop or Spark. Then virtual memory, again this is giving an app or some application impression that a continuous memory is working for that application, and the whereas the physical memory is of different size. So the different size of physical memory is there, but your application is thinking like all the physical memory is merged together, and this is a continuous memory. So this is a kind of virtual memory. For example, two RAMs are being attached, but if your application needs more resource, like each RAM of are 4 GB, 4 GB plus 4 GB, so these are combined. Now your application needs 6 GB RAM. So what virtual memory would do? Virtual memory would try to create illusion that these 6 GB RAM is a continuous memory working for that application that requires 6 GB RAM. So this is virtual memory. Then storage memory, storage virtualization. Storage virtualization is processing that is creating logical storage from the multiple physical storage. What happens? Various hard disks are there, storage devices are there. So multiple storage devices are on multiple server. You are connecting these multiple storage devices and creating a logical memory. Logical storage means in the combination of all these machines and providing it to the end user. That is storage virtualization. Then distributed file system, like in case of Hadoop distributed file system. So a file system is being created. Whole file system means you can store the file, access the file, delete the file, upload the file, and these could be done with multiple hosts that are sharing via the computer network. So multiple machines are there. You install Hadoop cluster. In that Hadoop cluster, you have multiple, you can store a file on the multiple machines because that file is larger in size. So that file is being distributed over the multiple machines connected through network. So that is being managed by the middleware like Hadoop, so which works for distributed file system. Then virtual file system. What happens? Abstraction on top of more concrete file system. So you already have one file system of operating system like Windows and Linux are running, but you want to create a secure application. So in that secure application, you create your own file system, and in that secure application, you are manipulating as your own file system for that application. So that actually allocates some uh, ac- hard drive for that application, and on that you are storing various abstraction layers of files. Then storage hypervisor, as we discussed, that it combines that hypervisor we had discussed. So basically many physical hard storage resources are being combined into one or more flexible pool of logical storage. So multiple machines are being combined together, and they work as a single storage, single pool of storage. That is storage hypervisor. Then virtualization, virtual disk are there, data virtualization are there, database virtualization are there, network virtualization are there, virtual private network are there. Virtual disk is basically emulating the disk driver, such as uh, vir- uh, hard disk driver or optical disk driver are being emulated as the disk driver. So what happens when you connect with external hard disk? So external hard disk is being managed by the operating system. So how it managed by the operating system? So it creates a virtual disk. What is virtual disk? External hard disk that you are attaching, and this is emulating that this disk is also part of your operating system for the time you keep on that external hard disk connected. So how it does? It does with the help of a driver. So the driver software do this uh, management of external hard disk as a virtual disk in your operating system. Then data virtualization. What happens in the presentation of the data? That abstract layers are being done. So independent and uh, underlying database systems are there, and they have various kind of storage. So the fundamental core data means you can assume uh, some data are being stored in the Excel file, some data is being stored in the uh, for the video format. So these are also data, but these are being read as what? Video data or Excel data. Excel data is basically sometime comma separated text file. So these are being read by a specific software for the specific kind of database management system. These are data virtualization. So actual data is being transformed and being used by a specific application. And then database virtualization. There are various layer of database for storage level and at the application level. So at which level you are doing virtualization means accessing the fundamental data from the storage level, or you are accessing the data like video format uh, or Excel format. So that is application layer. So at which level you are doing the layering set? So that is decoupling of database layers. And then network virtualization. So what you create virtual private network is an example of network virtualization. Network virtualization is a general form where you have a network of your own and you want to create division of that network, that this network, this subset of IP addresses are being used by the faculty, these subset of IP addresses are used by students. So these subset of IP addresses are being used by PhD scholar. So the student, PhD scholar, and the faculty member could access the some publication, and whereas the undergraduate should be restricted to access those publication list. uh, Means the publication websites are there so the PDF could be not be charged by under if it is being downloaded by undergraduate. So this type of network virtualization using some IP addresses or addressing space across the network as a subnet creation. So this process has been called as subnet creation. I hope that you have studied such thing in computer networks and also in database systems. Then the virtual private network, it is a special type of network virtualization where you actually replace a wired network or a physical medium of network with an abstract layer. So there's an uh, there's an software which is being installed at your laptop and you are moving throughout the world. So what happens? Your organization provides some access to your virtual private network, that there's when you try to connect your own institute through that uh, spatial application, that application will connect you via the network. So that client, VPN client, is being installed at your laptop and VPN server is working at your own institute. So that server will connect you as a client and start working, behaving like you are working inside that organization or that location. So that is a virtual private network creation, and it actually replaces that there's no connection of wire from your institute to the your laptop, but still external world is thinking that your laptop is inside your organization. Why they do? They do for the downloading of publications or something like that. So publication agencies like IEEE ACM thinks that the request is been coming from that organization or institute, and let that organization or institute download that uh, PDF. So this is why this VPN has been created. Then teleconferencing. So it is older form of virtual conferencing. So we'll discuss about virtual conferencing. Teleconferencing is basically like phone line, landline, cellular device. So these are older forms. Nowadays we do video conferencing. Webcams are there, microphones are there, speaker and internet. All the things are being involved for doing the mic video conferencing. Then hardware, software devices are being dedicated for doing this purpose. Then Web 2.0 is advanced form where you can use well-known application like Google Meet, Skype, and Microsoft Teams. These are being supported by internet and cloud computing. Then multiple communications are being possible where you have the multiple uh, communication, that is many sender and many receiver. This is very common basics. And in the webinar, what is difference between webinar and podcast? Webinar is basically web seminar where you have web camera on, internet being there, and multiple hosts are there. Webcast is live media transformation, live media presentation. So that is webcast. What is podcast? It is only related to audio. So audio presentation. Then web meeting means like we are doing meeting, we are discussing with the students, and this is web meeting. Then there's another concept, that is virtual event. So we'll discuss this virtual event in detail because these are now taking as a business in cloud computing. What happens in the virtual cloud? There are various online events that are going where the main people are interacting, real people are interacting over the environment of web, and instead of physical interaction. There are multiple sessions or multiple online events are being going on for the various webinar and webcast. So multiple sessions are being working. What is the aim of such virtual events? The aim of such virtual event is uh, creating a similar experience of physical meeting. So physical meeting is being uh, been doing artificial as a virtual event. The live streaming or event going on demand. So live streaming could be possible that someone is speaking in live from some physical event, and that could be presented through some live streaming. We'll see examples of this. Then issues are like echo of voice takes place, that multiple persons are speaking, and the echo of voice, that repetition of mic and speaker keeps on happening. Then audio video logistics. So you need a special audio device, some special videography device. Then network bandwidth is also because video requires streaming requires some heavy bandwidth for conferencing and serving to the users. Mainly servers would be of larger size. This is an example of virtual event where edited collage is being used to do the convocation of 2020 at IIT Indore. So this is a virtual event. Then there's another. Uh, this is how the degree could be distributed. Virtual degree distribution could be possible. So this is 2D virtual event. This is this is public speaking and live streaming of s- video. Then this is 3D virtual event of Heidelberg Laureate Forum. So you have auditorium. You can see a video over here is playing, and this is a dummy that keep on moving in this arena. And this arena is just like a 3D game that you see. So you can also speak when you press the space bar. You can speak and talk with the other person in this virtual meeting. Then this is the arena, another location. You can go and talk with the another person. His name is coming up. So this is hall B. You can go and see these poster will open up as a PDF, and you can read these PDF. You can physically move over there like a 3D game. You move over there, you click this button, and you can see the PDF or PPT and see the presentation, and you can discuss. So this is arena, and this is closed space, so only you and the person who is standing in this arena could listen to you. This is another poster. So you can talk like this over here. You can also dance. You can see a good recreation location over there, so like a 3D game. Then you can dance over with multiple users like a party. And you have various live streaming going on, where the professors could laureates could speak and present and discuss. So this is live streaming of a presentation. And then it basically, the third kind of event that we'll see is hybrid event, which actually combines physical in person with the virtual online component. So physical combination of physical person and virtual event both. So trade shows there, conferences, seminar, workshops are there, convocations are there. So this is LNMIT convocation. This is landing page. So you can go to Photoshop, you can go for auditorium, you can go for mosaic wall. So these are the buttons. You click on these images, this part of images, and you can take some action. So like you can create a photo booth, and you can create a photo of yours. Then you can go for help chat, so you can chat with the online persons. You can go for discussing with the backend user. Then you can create a mosaic collage, which is look which comes in this images. Then you can have beautiful flowering for the some event. Then you can have a welcome video for webcast. Then you can have live streaming of the actual event going on. Then you can have multiple window for multiple persons sitting on that event as a live streaming. Then you can have real time for distribution image for the person who is getting student who is getting degree. You can show his degree as well. Then you can have this actual degree distribution. Then this is all from my side. So here we'll end the course, and I hope that you have enjoyed. So this officially finishes our course. These are the reference for this slide. I hope you had enjoyed. Thanks.